Good morning, it's Lisa Jayne live here. And this morning I wanted to share with you about self-trust. How much self-trust do you have? I really want you to think about this because it's something that comes up for me when I'm working with people because it's quite hidden. Like you go, yeah, sure, I've got self-trust. Or maybe you're aware that you don't trust yourself very much. But it's one of those things that can be a very subtle undercurrent in your life and it impacts everything. One of the ways you can tell how much you trust yourself is when you look at your external environment and you have a look at the relationships in your life and the things that you do, because the ability that you have to trust yourself is reflected in how wonderful your life is, how abundant your life is, how supportive and loving your relationships are. And perhaps if there are areas that you'd like to improve, working on your self-trust could have a massive impact. This follows on from my theme of emotional safety, because emotional safety and self-trust really go hand in hand, and they're foundations to live a life where you're expressing your personal power. I've discovered for myself that when I stand in my truth and I'm the most me that I can be in this moment, being totally true to myself, there's a lot of power in that place. I walk out into the world and I'm self-assured. The anxieties that I used to feel don't really come up. And if I do have feelings, like I might have a feeling memory that comes up for me, but I know what to do with that. I can feel it and acknowledge it and use its guidance. But it's like it doesn't actually, I don't have to act upon it. And I think this is the one thing that's really important, is that you can feel all of your feelings, as acceptable or unacceptable as they may be. You can feel them all. That doesn't mean that you have to act on them. And this is where self-trust comes in, because you learn to trust yourself. You learn as you accept your feelings and as you investigate them and just allow them to be there, you learn that, hey, it's okay that I have this feeling. It's okay that this feeling that's really socially unacceptable or not appropriate for my situation, it's okay for me to feel that. I'm not wrong. I'm not dysfunctional. I'm not, there's nothing wrong with me. This is a feeling that has just come up into my body and it's guiding me towards my truth if I let it. If I try to suppress that feeling, then I never get to understand myself better. And if I don't understand myself better, how can I find my truth? How can I actually stand in the place that I know is perfectly aligned to what I need to be in this moment? So allowing those feelings to come up and then reminding yourself you don't have to act on them. You can feel jealous, for example. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you feel jealous? Because there's a lot of stuff out there in the world that has an influence on that feeling that comes up in your body. So you can acknowledge that and accept, yeah, I'm feeling jealous. That doesn't mean you have to act on it. That doesn't mean you have to do some crazy thing to express that jealousy. It just means you have to look at it and go, okay, jealousy, why is jealousy coming up? And this comes back to emotional safety. When you know how to keep yourself emotionally safe, when you trust yourself to look after you, jealousy generally doesn't come up. Because you know, so let me give you an example how that would look for me. So if I keep myself emotionally safe, I'm feeling my feelings and I'm coming back to my truth all the time. I might be bumped out, but I look at what it is that sort of got me off my path, that makes me feel uncomfortable, and I address that. And then I also focus on, how do I come back to my truth? How do I stand in the most me that I can be in this moment? And I do those things. So say jealousy is one of those things. I have a feeling, I come out of my truth and it's almost like, oh my gosh, I need that to happen so I can feel okay. well, I don't actually. I can come back and meet my own needs, but why did that come up? And what I'll do is I'll go, where did I step away from the power that's in me and give it to somebody else? Where did I make a choice that maybe isn't aligned to my power? So for me, if I feel jealous, say I'm starting a relationship and I start to feel jealous towards that person, I would have to go, okay, am I keeping myself emotionally safe, or am I relying on them to meet my emotional needs? Am I wanting them to love me, to validate me? And if I am, they can't do that because they're feelings inside of me. I mean, they might be able to do it, but it's actually, I have to give that to myself because the feelings are inside of me. But if I hand them that responsibility, all of a sudden, I'm not emotionally safe. If I hand someone else the care for my emotional world, how can I keep myself emotionally safe? I can't. Because it's only when it's 100% my responsibility that I can make choices that serve me, that I can make conscious choices, that I can watch a relationship and go, actually, this is not how I want to be loved. This doesn't make me feel good. I have to be somebody else to be in this relationship. So me holding full responsibility for my emotional safety also means I can trust myself. I trust myself if I go somewhere and I meet somewhere and it doesn't feel right. I trust myself to do something about it. I trust that I'm not going to swallow down my feelings. I trust that I'm not going to pretend that things are right when they're not. I trust that I'm going to say no to opportunities if they don't feel right for me. I trust that I can use my legs. If I'm in a situation and I say yes to something and I go and it doesn't feel right for me, I trust myself to use my legs to get out of there. And the more I show myself that I can trust myself to look after my emotional well-being, the more I trust myself and the more emotionally safe I feel. This is an expanding feeling inside your body when you start to use it. You absolutely have the ability to do this for yourself. You don't need anybody else to do it for you. That is the best news ever. So people can help you work through things. They can help you understand who you are if you have a great relationship, if you're able to communicate in that way. But ultimately, it's up to you. And when you take full responsibility for your emotional well-being, that is just so amazing because you start to stand by your own side. You honor the magnificent being that you are. You become your own best friend and you keep yourself emotionally safe so you can trust yourself. And you know what happens? When you trust yourself, that trust that you feel for yourself on the inside actually manifests outwardly into relationships that you can trust, into environments that you can trust, into an ability to go with the flow because you're just trusting that life is unfolding for you perfectly. And that's an amazing way to live. That is absolutely amazing. So, today, I'd like to highly recommend that you consider trusting yourself fully. Little bit by little bit. Just trust yourself to look after you. Trust yourself to make a choice. Just make one choice today that honors who you really are. One little choice. Because one little choice will lead to 2 little choices and 3 little choices. And before long, you'll be finding that you feel emotionally safe and that you trust yourself in most areas of your life. And you're moving to fully trust yourself. So I'm sending you lots of love for a magical day.